Hello, Dorothy Simitovich. I'm often asked in Gestalt coaching, so how do we use ourselves as an instrument to pay attention, to figure out what to pay attention to take action, or decide not to take action? How do I know when I'm satisfied with the action I've taken? And how do I assess my experience? We are all making those kind of decisions thousands of times a day. But this idea of the cycle of experience, or what I call the cycle of awareness, is a lens that helps us understand how we organize ourselves to choose what to respond to, what not respond to, and how to satisfy what we want, what we need, or what might be missing. And sometimes how we decide to step back from something that we don't want, and how to understand what we're doing. So I call this this opportunity to learn about oneself as an agent of awareness in helping people satisfy themselves. That's a whole lot. So the very first thing that I want to invite us to consider is, how do I use myself as a GPS? I'm always having feelings, biological feelings of what's going on with me, whether I'm hydrated enough, whether I've attended to my biological needs. You know, bathroom needs are the most basic of life. Everyone has them. You know, I love it when I go for a trip and the adults in the room say, everybody okay about the bathroom break? Because what are we doing? We're making sure that we are supported at a biological level. We're always having those kind of sensations. How do I decide if I'm hungry for something, or if I'm hungry to meet someone in these days of COVID? There's a lot of isolation and related loneliness. And how do we attend to that? What's the feeling that I'm feeling? And this is that moment to pay attention to our sensations inside ourselves, and sometimes to pay attention outside ourselves. We live in a world where so many people watch TV and watch commercials and see a lot of commercials for food. And if you're watching a lot of commercials for food, I know from all my people in the eating regulation industry, the diet industry, is that watching TV sometimes promotes a sense of we're hungry for something, when actually it's marketing. So the first thing that I always say to people is, pay attention to your sensations and what are you longing for? What is it that you're feeling, and how familiar are you with visiting yourselves to do a check of what is it that I'm feeling? And this is where it is so important to take care of yourself, to have adequate sleep, hydrate, really understand our social needs, our curiosity needs, to know what it is that we're feeling. So if we decide that, we're thirsty, we're going to be looking for a glass of water. If we decide, we're lonely, we're going to perhaps be compelled to this next level of, how do I know what I'm looking for? And that is to look at what I'm experiencing in myself, or paying attention outside of myself. And let's say I decide, you know what, I actually, in this time of COVID, I truly want to talk with so-and-so. I've really missed the conversations that we've had. Maybe we work together, or we see each other at a certain project meeting, and I realized, I'm lonely for that kind of conversation. And so my figure is, I want to talk to this person. Now, just because I'm aware of something doesn't mean I'm necessarily comfortable. Maybe I can say something like, I'd like to talk to this person, but some old patterns of mine get in the way. I might say, I don't know if they're going to have time for me. They're going to be too busy. Or really, what's with me that I actually need to reach out for others to support me, and I may hold myself back. So knowing your own patterns of how you satisfy yourself or not satisfy yourself in terms of what is the figure you want to take action on, it's really important. And that brings us to is, what's this thing called emotional energy? When I notice, let's say that I'm lonely to talk to a colleague of mine who is a thought partner and a wonderful friend, do I feel some anxiety, or do I feel some excitement? What's my familiar kind of emotional response as either a habit pattern or what I know about myself? If I'm a shy person, I might say, I don't know if they're really going to want to, so I hold back. If I'm a person who may not be comfortable asking for, let's talk on the phone, again, I may feel like they're not going to be, I can project, they're not going to be as excited about this as I am. Emotional energy is an important gauge about my want, the situation, and also how important something is. We say no emotion, no learning. If you don't have any emotional energy about something, in some ways it's not all that relevant or interesting. So pay attention to what's my emotion. If it's anxiety, you might want to support yourself and take a breath and say, what is it that I really want from this moment? How can I manage my anxiety to move forward to? The next part of looking at yourself, in terms of satisfying yourself, is how do I move towards taking action? Do I move towards calling the person or sending them an email? Those are the easiest strategies. Or do I say, oh, tomorrow, and procrastinate? And again, we all do it. I do it. And the idea behind that is, what's my strategy for satisfying a basic need, social connection? How familiar am I with really taking that moment for myself and moving towards that? Or do I hold back, what we call retroflexion? Again, no judgment about that. Just notice what you notice. And as I speak to this, let's say that as I'm thinking of calling so-and-so for this thought piece, maybe I don't even call them, but the idea of calling them is so appealing that I notice in myself, oh, you know what? Just thinking about them satisfies me. And I feel good just thinking about the idea of calling them. Maybe I do call them, maybe I don't call them, but I make some contact with myself because I say, oh, that was relevant. And I may decide, as a way of just holding this moment, is I might just send them an email and say, thinking of you, let's look for a time that we can connect. How do I close from this moment with an assessment of how do I satisfy this kind of need for a social figure? And it may be that my even saying, I'm going to send this person an email, it satisfies me, as opposed to taking no action. And if I took no action, my question is that familiar that I think these wonderful things, and then a year or two later I say, yeah, I had that moment and I haven't spoken to them in how long? We say that the years are short, but the days are long. In these moments sometimes of deciding no, yes, no, it's so easy for a few months and a few years to pass, and we realize we didn't take action on those moments that we had an idea of reaching out, and a pattern of more isolation developed than we might be aware of. Where does it all start? In these little moments of awareness that we can look at and decide to take the action. So more to come from the cycle of experience and how we use ourselves in a mindful way to have more awareness, because we say where there is awareness, there is the pause to reflect on what are the actions to take. If you're confused about what to do, it's a moment to really say, how do I use myself as an instrument? What are my signals to pay attention to? What is it that I really want? What is it that I really need? Do I have any emotional energy for it? If not, it doesn't probably have a lot of charge. Do I take action, or is it just speculation? If there's no action, I don't get satisfied. Even if it's only a thought action, it's an action. If there is no moment of, did something significant happen? Did I feel some shift? Then maybe I didn't make the kind of contact that satisfies. We're yearning for contact with ourselves, contact with others. And finally, what did we learn from this? Because if every day we say we learn something about ourselves, how to be more choiceful, how to satisfy ourselves for more choiceful living, that's what happiness really is constructed out of. So thanks for your time. Until the next, in these times of COVID and challenge, be aware and know that we have so many more choices than we may think that we have. I wish you well. Thanks for your attention.